What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Kaged Review. My name is Kevin Jackwitz, and this is a review for Venom. This is a movie that I was so happy to hear they were making, because I didn't think I'd ever see Venom on the big screen, not like this. And, you know, there's a lot of people that early reviews really shit on this movie, like, hard. And I kind of expected that right away just from the PG-13 rating. When you make a Venom movie, you gotta go all out. It's like Deadpool, man. You know, he's known for being this vicious creature, and you know, to forgive the phrase, you expect carnage in a movie like this. And so I actually walked in hopeful, but kind of sensible about what I was walking into, because quite frankly, a PG-13 Venom just doesn't sound right. But I did trust Tom Hardy as an actor. And when I was doing the reactions for this movie, I said this movie was going to do good or bad based on Tom Hardy. And quite frankly, I hit the nail on the head. Tom Hardy carried this movie completely, absolutely by himself. There was a lot to love and a lot to hate about this, and I've seen a lot of reviews already where people are talking about everything, and I'm not going to really rehash everything that's been said. I'll just touch on it and move on. Tom Hardy, right away, as Eddie Brock, killed it. I thought he had a great performance. He had the quirky loser vibe, you know, that really came through. But it was also a great performance when Venom started to really start to interact with Eddie for the first time, and there was a lot of like nuances and reactions that Tom Hardy did that I think really sold this role. And it was really fun, honestly, to watch Venom and Eddie Brock interact for the first few times. It was really, really, really great. From the very first moment that Venom said Eddie, it was on. It was absolutely great at that point forward. And it had some really good laugh out loud moments with that interaction as well. Now, of course, you have the very vanilla, bland bad guy here, and you got Riz Ahmed, who plays Carlton Drake, who is the CEO of the Life Foundation. And Life Foundation is basically replacing Oscorp. And at this point, honestly, it could have been anybody for this bad guy. I mean, white, black, Asian, African, it didn't matter. Like, anybody could have been this bad guy. It was just a very bland role all the way around. And exactly what you would expect from a first-time around superhero movie villain that honestly didn't come across on screen very well, if I'm being completely honest. Nothing in his role impressed me whatsoever. So I could have taken it or leaving it regardless. Michelle Williams, who plays Anne, which is Tom Hardy's love interest. Again, a lot of reviews I've seen saying that there was just no chemistry. I won't say there was no chemistry, but I don't think that anything she did really stood out to me. Their interaction, it was cute at times, it was funny at times, but nothing really sold me on these two being in love with each other, or ever being in love, or Eddie Brock, you know. It just didn't work for me. So what you have left is the special effects and Tom Hardy himself. And as I said, that carried this movie. There were actually a lot of really cool moments with that dynamic, with Venom learning from Eddie, and Eddie kind of accepting this new role, and you know, Venom kind of knowing more than Eddie wants him to, but turns out that can be useful. So yeah, there were a lot of very cool dynamics there that I really did like. I think the biggest thing for me was you want this to have special effects. You want to have big scenes, big sequences, and it kind of delivered, and honestly kind of not. it is true that you kind of get at least a taste of every big scene in the trailers. You certainly don't get everything, though. And I think that's kind of one of the cool things about it. And some people were honestly hard about the action sequences in this movie. And honestly, I feel like that's people being too hard. I feel like it's either being too hard or too desensitized to big spectacle in movies nowadays. I felt like at least the first two major action sequences were very, very cool. The motorcycle scene and then when Venom has to fight the SWAT team. I liked both quite a bit. The last big fight, the CGI fight, it had cool moments. There was a part there that, because it was CGI and you have two symbiotes that are kind of clashing and, you know, things spiraling everywhere, it was kind of hard for a few seconds here and there to really tell what was happening. And I get that, you know, that's going to happen in something like this, but I feel like they should have done a little bit more to make it less trippy for the viewer, because there was one sequence in particular where it was really kind of difficult to tell what was happening. So that's my only gripe about that third fight scene, though. Otherwise, you know, it's a CGI fight. It is what it is. It was cool, and I thought that they ended it fairly well. So overall, I really did like the movie. I mean, I said from the beginning, and I've said already, this was going to be made or broken by Hardy's performance. And he would have to carry this. And I think he did a great job. I really do. I really think that as far as his performance, I don't know what else could have been done, honestly, because I think he sold, you know, being very weirded out by the scenario and reacting to not having control of his own body. I think he did very, very well. As far as the CGI goes, you know, I liked the way Venom looked. I've said that from the trailers. I mean, there were a couple of scenes there where it looked a little weird, but I mean, let's face it, this is a major CGI movie. I did. I thought he looked just fine, to be honest, though. The motorcycle scene where he kind of reaches out with his tentacles to bring the motorcycle back to him, they actually kind of like did a different position for the camera for that take in the movie itself, and so I actually think it sold a little bit better. And that was one of the scenes I was kind of worried about, because in the first trailer, when you see the tentacles come out of Eddie Brock to grab the motorcycle, it did look kind of cheesy. I think it looked better in the final cut. But, you know, people were talking about how it kind of looked rubbery, and I'm just like, well, how do you make a huge black symbiote that just has these tentacles that can go everywhere? How do you make that look? So, again, I think it's people being overly critical. I mean, I felt like it was fine. I really do. I will say, at the end of the movie, of course, no spoilers here, you do get a cool mid-credit scene. The end credit scene, I could have taken or leave it, honestly. Didn't really care about it. But the mid-credit scene definitely sold me on a part 2. That's for sure. So overall, it was not a great movie. It was not a great movie because of the villain, the whole Life Foundation organization. I felt like way too many people, way too many hands in the pot there, and too much time on it, honestly. I feel like that was the big downfall for the movie. And of course, that's typical in a movie like this, to be very honest. They get somebody great to play the hero, and the villain is, you know, usually somebody you can take or leave. I did love this, though. I honestly did, because of the humor, because of Eddie Brock selling things and the interaction between Eddie Brock and Venom. That's what made the movie, and that's what the movie is all about. So yeah, I was absolutely sold on it. I would say, out of a 10, probably a 6.5. Like I said, not great, but it kept me entertained. It kept me laughing a lot, too. So, and that's important for a movie like this. I mean, the crowd in the theater I went to, there was no empty seats, and the crowd was really behind it. You know, they were cheering, they were laughing when prompted. I think the jokes landed for most people in here. I know that it's comedy, it's subjective, not everything is going to land, and that's true for me too. Not everything landed, but when it landed good, and I think it landed often in this movie. So, the big wishes for me is that they would spend more time on the storyline and, you know, finding a better villain. And make the fucker rated R, man. It is Venom. He's eating people. You know, just go for it. This is something like Deadpool that you just have to go for. And that's how I feel about it. So, that's where I'm at with it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm saying 6.5 out of 10. I was having a good time through most of the movie. And that's where I'm at. So, if you've seen it, let me know what you think about it. Save the spoilers for the spoiler review. That'll be coming up. And, yeah. I will come back with that probably tomorrow in the morning sometime. It's getting kind of late right now, and I got some other things to do. So I'll do the Venom spoiler review in the morning sometime. You can expect it probably around noon. So if you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz. Kaged Nation, out.